Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the FireStorm Podcast. Today, we're bringing you an interesting topic. We're talking about a band, and last time we did this was like episode 3 when we talked about Skillet, but we decided to bring it back because there is another band that both Gus and Sir Tamachi, who we had a guest episode with a few days ago, check that out. Both of you guys have convinced me to get into this band, and you've fucking done it. We're here to talk about Breaking Benjamin.
Wow, it's about goddamn time you got started listening to their shit. Jesus.
Yes, and all of last night, at least last night for me, or this morning for you, you took me through the tracks of the album Phobia.
And Dear Agony.
And Dear Agony, yeah. And we've discovered that Gus, because of the songs I told him that I liked from the Dark Before Dawn and Ember albums, he was able to...
Well, it's not even just that, dude. It's just, I like, from the stuff you've recommended me earlier, like the, Through Fire and, like, Adelita's Way and all this other shit, like, I know. Oh, by the way, did you know... I'll do this later, actually. I'll give you a fun fact later.
Alright. Through all these recommendations, Gus was able to guess which songs from Dear Agony and Phobia that I would enjoy the most, and he had about like an 80% success rate. He got him mostly right. It was really impressive, and I was like, bro, how the fuck did you do this? So
it's just you know, having the knowledge of the music and knowledge of your favorites. It's like a hypothesis or a game theory. I don't know, some kind of scientific terminology. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's just cool stuff. Like sometimes when I listen to a song, I'll be like, that's a Trent song. You know, like I just feel it. And like most of the ones I guessed, I were like, that's a Trent song. And I was mostly right.
Well, I'm glad that's a coined term that you have now. It's a Trent song.
It's a Trent song. It's a real thing.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know about you, Gus, but as I've just said, I've only just got into Breaking Benjamin probably a month ago, and yeah,
was it even a month ago?
No, probably a month ago. I've heard some of the songs offhandedly, like when driving in Demetria's car, she always has a CD in. Like, I've offhandedly heard the songs, and I know they're good, but I never... Like, they were on a long list of bands that I've had since 2015 that I need to listen to. Because my friend, in high school, my friend Bree recommended a bunch of, like, alternative metal rock artists for me to listen to. Breaking Benjamin was always on that list. Mm-hmm. And, like, I've just never got around to checking out all of them yet. I haven't gone through the list yet. And because of you and Tamisha like pestering me, I was just like, all right, fine, I'll check out Dark Before Dawn. I listened to the whole album and I'm like, oh damn. Fucking good.
Wow, they were actually right.
Oh no, Jesus.
Imagine that.
So how long have you been into Breaking Benjamin for?
Funny story. So the original way I got into Breaking Benjamin was actually by accident. It was back in April of 2018 when Ember first came out. So basically this was around the time when I didn't have Spotify and I was still listening to all my music through iTunes. So I had an extra $10 in my iTunes account. I had no clue what to spend it on because I had already bought the album that I had wanted to. I can't remember if it was pre-ordering Paid in Exposure or whatever, but it was something along those lines. And so I had $10 extra, and I was like, I had no clue what to spend it on, and I had never been super familiar with Breaking Benjamin. Like, I had probably heard The Diary of Jane once or twice offhandedly, but I'd never been super into them. And I was just kind of scrolling through the new albums, and obviously since Ember just came out, it was pretty close to the top of the charts. And I was like, oh, Breaking Benjamin, I think I've heard of them before, and I accidentally tapped on the purchase button. and accidentally bought Ember. The best mistake of my life, probably. So yeah, I was like, well, I have this album now, I might as well listen to it. And I listened to it all the way through, including the intro and outro tracks, which are pretty dope, by the way, because they lead, or at least like the intro track Lyra, or I guess it might be pronounced Lyra. It goes from, because it's not a name, I think it refers to the constellation or the mythology thing, so I think it's Lyra. It like leads right into Feed the Wolf, and then the last song, Close Your Eyes, leads right into the outro, Vega. So yeah, it's really cool. And so I was immediately like, when Feed the Wolf hit, I was like, holy shit. So I was immediately blown away, and it was great. And like eventually, after like I got all the way through Ember, and it was amazing. So Ember is my personal favorite Breaking Benjamin album, just because of like that. And plus I just really like it. It's different from, it has a totally different vibe from all the other albums. And I think like I can explain more about that later when we talk about some of the albums in more detail. But then after that, I listened to, when I first got Spotify, actually, when I first had Spotify Premium, the first thing I listened to was Dark Before Dawn. And I skipped the intro, and listened to Failure. And so Failure is the song that I like, was my most played song of 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was only the last half, because I got Spotify Premium around my birthday that year. So I turned 19, so it was in July. So that was the first thing I listened to. And Failure immediately stood out to me and became one of my favorite, if not my personal favorite, Breaking Benjamin song ever. So that happened. So Dark Before Dawn was great. And then from there, it took a little while, but I got into Dear Agony. And you mentioned this when you first listened to it. It sounds a bit different. It has a different vibe production wise. And that's because it was pre-hiatus. So it was the old band members, and back then Ben Burnley was doing most of the writing himself. And indeed, like, he wrote most, if not all, of Dark Before Dawn himself as well, but like the production of Dark Before Dawn was more refined. So Dear Agony had more of the raw sound that they were known for, and then it took even more time, but I got into Phobia as well. And Phobia, it was, so I basically just went backwards, and then I eventually listened through the first two albums and didn't like them as much.
Yeah, I haven't heard Saturate or We Are Not Alone. I haven't heard of those.
Both of them are okay. They're not like terrible by any means, but they're just like not on the same level as Phobia and beyond.
Okay.
And obviously Aurora is really cool. I love Aurora for many reasons. Like, I was super hyped. Like, you have no idea, because 2017 was the year I got into Red. And I listened, pretty much Red was the only thing I listened to like all of 2017. Like, that was it. And so you can't imagine my hype at the end of last year when they announced Aurora, the full track list, and they announced Failure, which had Michael Barnes on it. I was beyond hype.
That was,
because that's my favorite one of, if not my favorite Breaking Benjamin song, with two of my favorite vocalists ever. So, I can't exactly complain about that. So, and it did not disappoint me. I think Failure, the Aurora version of Failure, is my most played song on Spotify this year so far. So,
yeah, damn.
It's great stuff.
You definitely know more about the history of Breaking Benjamin, but just from what I've read and what I've gathered, after Dear Agony, they entered a hiatus because Benjamin Burnley's like health. He had some sort of illness. It was
many reasons, actually. It was legal dispute first.
No. See, I what I've read is that early 2010 they initially announced the hiatus because of the illness, but then in 2011 there was an unauthorized compilation album called Shallow Bay, The Best of Breaking Benjamin. Yeah, that some of the band members released, but because there was remixes and some other like some newish or songs on the track list or whatever that Benjamin himself didn't like or didn't authorize, he basically kicked out those two members that originally authorized the compilation album, and then another band member left, and then it was just Burnley.
Yeah.
And then then when he came back, he announced a whole new lineup of band members because literally everyone else had either been kicked out or left.
Yeah.
And then they made Dark Before Dawn.
Yes. That's pretty much the story.
It is amazing though, listening, like, because Dear Agony was from 2009 and Dark Before Dawn was 2015. That 6-year hiatus. Obviously, they got, like, a lot cleaner with the production. No wonder. Because of that time gap. But it still sounds very much Breaking Benjamin. Like, you can immediately identify, this is Breaking Benjamin. Even when you listen to Phobia or Dear Agony, and then after, with the new band members and the more updated production, you can still tell it's all Breaking Benjamin. It's really cool.
Ben's voice is so distinguishable. It's amazing. Like, one of the highest compliments I've ever received as a musician was when someone private messaged me on Twitter and told me they really liked the new album, and that some of the vocals I did reminded them of Ben Burnley. I was like, oh my god, no way. So I was like, you have no idea how cool that is to hear. So, like, because, and, you know, it's probably something like I've listened to so much Breaking Benjamin that he's had an effect on my singing without me realizing it. But yeah, it's like he has such a cool voice, and like you hear it anywhere, and you just know it immediately. So it's really cool. And so Ben's always been the primary songwriter for, especially throughout that first wave with the original band members, and then through Dark Before Dawn, even with the new band members. Like, he wrote most of Dark Before Dawn by himself, with a few exceptions.
That makes sense, because he's literally, like, it's his band. It's Breaking Benjamin Burnley. It's literally his band.
It's like such a cool story, like having all of all of the original band members leave except for him, and then he bring on a whole new, like, band by himself without, like, you know, like, the only one of the original band, like the original band that's still there, is the vocalist, which is really cool. And he plays his guitar live, like, he's a very talented guitarist. So it's just awesome. Like, there's a lot of cool things, like, and we don't really get a lot of look into Ben's writing process, but, like, there's a lot of things in, like, just elements of songs that you can tell like, oh yeah, I can tell Ben wrote this, because it sounds a lot like other Breaking Benjamin stuff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, it's just I've seen a few interviews with the guy. He seems fucking awesome. He just seems like one of the coolest guys. Like, I just want him to be like my uncle or something. He's so cool. So yeah, it's he's a very creative guy, and there's some stories behind, like, I know a few things about, like, some of, like, the way each album was written. It's really interesting, just hearing some of the backstories behind the album itself. And if we were to go more into, like, the history of, like, Dark Before Dawn, there's some cool stuff. Like, I know you read up about the meaning behind the song Dawn, which is something really cool.
Yeah, no, that's emotional.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so it's just, they're such a cool band. Like, I explained this to Trent before, but just the feeling that fans, especially longtime fans, must have gotten after that 6-year hiatus, where they stopped releasing music after Dear Agony, and then they came back in, like, 2015 with a new single, Failure, and it's exactly like the stuff you remembered 6 years later. It must have been such a cool feeling, like, just being that longtime fan. You must, like, hearing, like, the bad news of having, you know, all the band members go away, and, you know, Ben having the illness, and then they come back with Failure, one of their best songs ever. And it just must have been such a cool thing. Like, if you like, read some of the comments on that single, like the video on YouTube, you can just feel like you can literally feel the emotions of some of the fans. Like, oh my God, this is such a cool thing. Like, they've come back after so long and it's the same as I remember. So yeah, it's just like a pretty cool story for that. And they're just such a great band. Like one of the most consistent rock bands ever. They're so consistently good. And, if I hadn't listened to Saturate or We Are Not Alone, there would not be a single Breaking Benjamin song I've ever heard that I don't like. So yeah, there you go. There's some things for you.
I'm trying to just connect the dots because I heard about, like, I read up about what the song Dawn was based off of. It was about like his son, and like the heartbeat you hear is about his son's last heartbeat or something like that. And so I don't exactly know, but did his son pass away during the hiatus?
I don't know. I don't really know the full story behind that.
Because I'm just trying to connect the dots, but just like...
Because I actually didn't read about anything about his son dying. I just read that it was like... But I mean, I didn't read too much into it, but I that would make more sense if that was the case.
Well, let's
because that's how it ends with the heartbeat. Like how it ends with that heartbeat. Which
maybe he didn't pass away because it says he's got one son. But
yeah,
I'm just trying to because I'm trying to connect the dots. But if the song Dawn was like, because Dark Before Dawn was the first song released out of hiatus. Imagine that hiatus and imagine that time, at least for fans and for Benjamin himself.
Yeah.
Where his whole band has left and they're all just they've all decided to do things without his permission or leave, so he's kicked some of them out and the others have left. So he's trying to find new band members, and then all this happens with his son. Now, I'm trying to figure out right now, I'm searching it up. If his son passed away during that time, then that was so sad.
Yeah, that is really
upsetting.
Sad.
If his son's still alive and it was just a song made for him, then that's awesome. But
yeah,
that comeback from having to start a new band and making that song Dawn, like that, what a comeback. And I can't imagine, like...
Are you trying to think of Failure?
No, the song Dawn, literally the one with the heartbeats and his wife humming.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just trying to connect the dots. Like, if during the hiatus time when he's writing in Dark Before Dawn, if all that happens, and then he makes the song Dawn as well.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. What a way to come back, though, with this album. That's incredible.
Very crazy. So, I mean, Dark Before Dawn would be a good place to start. So, basically, I can tell you a few things. So, I read about it kind of recently, but basically, at the time when Ben started writing it, Dark Before Dawn he was still dealing with his illness. So, basically, he got a bunch of negative, not very good, or not very, I'm trying to think of the fucking word. Like, not very, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, words. Not very encouraging, like test results. And Ben was getting frustrated at the time. So he was like, well, screw this. I'm not going to wait for a good doctor's note to like start my career again. So basically he started writing Dark Before Dawn around mid 2014. And that was when the full album kind of started to come together. So like I said, he wrote most of Dark Before Dawn by himself. Actually, Jasen Rauch, who is the lead guitarist now, he actually was originally from Red. He was plucked out of Red by Ben Burnley. Jasen wrote the song Dark, at least he's credited for writing Dark, And actually, he's also credited for the guitar in Dawn. So I think it seems like Jasen wrote most of like some of the melodies as well in Dawn. So I think it was supposed to represent that thing with Ben's son, but Jasen actually did most of the writing. And Jasen and the other guitarist, Keith, who is another guitarist that Ben plucked out of another band, Adelita's Way, Keith Wallen, they wrote, the three of them wrote the song Never Again. And those are the only credits in Dark Before Dawn to someone other than Benjamin. Other than that, he wrote the entire album by himself. So yeah, it's crazy because it's 12 songs, including the intro and outro, but they're all bangers. They're all incredible. So, there's so many, like, there's a lot of like spiritual themes in some of the songs, like especially Ashes of Eden. So there's a lot of really cool messages. A lot of people, like, if you were to read stuff about like interpretations of songs off of Dark Before Dawn, like Failure, Angels Fall, whatever, a lot of people have spiritual interpretations. Hello. And so yeah, it's a really cool album because like most good rock songs, the actual meaning of the lyrics are left up to your interpretation. So yeah, there's so many good songs. Like, you could pick any one of them as your favorite and not go wrong. But just like the last time, I think we're gonna pick 3 favorites from each album.
Yeah.
And yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. I'm just gonna like squash this bug before any Breaking Benjamin fans like get on our case about getting information wrong. Look, I don't think his son actually passed away for the Dawn song, but it does say Ben like in a comment on the Dawn song on YouTube. It says Ben revealed in an interview that his son's doctor recorded his heartbeat and they used it as part of the drum beat and in the intro of the song. And his wife is also singing in this. There is nothing really here that says he passed away, but it was just kind of made for his family as it incorporates different elements of the family, like his production and his guitar, or the other band member's guitar or whatever. Like his production, his son's heartbeat for the drums, and then his wife singing. So it's just kind of a song that for the family. That was made by the family. That's basically, from what I understand, that's what it is. But yeah, his son doesn't look like it was made for his son who passed away. It looks like it was just made for the family. Yeah. But
I didn't think the son passed away. I was confused.
No, I was confused as well. I thought I heard it somewhere, but I was probably wrong. But yeah, no, let's move on to the 4 albums, or at least the 5 albums, including Aurora. That we got our top 3 off of. Let's start all the way back to Phobia, because that's the most fresh on my mind.
Okay, so actually I have a little bit of history of Phobia for you. Actually, what people like to call this the last of the I don't know exactly what, but basically the first 3 albums of Breaking Benjamin, first 3 Breaking Benjamin albums, Ben wrote while pretty heavily under the influence of alcohol. He had a pretty bad alcohol problem in the early 2000s, and he wrote most of his music while under the influence of it. And so he was pretty much an alcoholic throughout that time. And this was the last of those 3 albums that he wrote while under the influence. Every album after this, he wrote while sober. Because he worked really hard to overcome that alcoholism, which is really admirable. But yeah, Phobia is a lot about Ben's many phobias. He's gone on interviews saying like how he has the man is afraid of a lot of things, and you could call it unreasonable, but really it's not, because he has pretty solid reasons for being afraid of stuff that he's afraid of. Things like flying in planes and just all this other crap. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting album, especially like if you try to interpret the album cover. Looks like an angel and stuff. Like it looks like the evil angel.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just I've read more about how, like, the writing process that Ben's spoken about in interviews for this album, but it's some pretty cool, like, if you were to seek out interviews and stuff about this, there's some pretty cool information you could find. Like, Ben Burnley's writing process seems fascinating. So yeah, but Phobia is a really cool album. It's definitely like a more refined version of the previous two albums, and not only that, it's taken completely to the next level. Like, every song is a fucking banger. So this is the first of Breaking Benjamin's albums that feels like every song is, like, good. Like, I could listen to the whole album without skipping anything.
Yeah, see, that's one thing. I made a point of this last night when listening to Phobia, that, like, there isn't a bad Breaking Benjamin song that I've heard so far. I've heard 5 of the albums, and, like, none of them are skippable. Like, I can enjoy and vibe to each one of them, because they all have that consistent Breaking Benjamin style, which just doesn't falter. It's always good. So you can't go bad with Breaking Benjamin. If you like this style of music, you'll have your preferences, definitely, for songs.
Oh, yeah.
But you'll like all of them in some way, in one way or another. So, yeah. But,
there you go.
Let's hear your favorite 3 from Phobia, then, while I go get a bottle of water.
Okay. I gotta finish chewing. So, first of my 3 favorites is Breath. I could name off Diary of Jane, but who gives a shit? Diary of Jane's an easy one. It was part of everyone's emo phase. So I really like Breath. It's got a really nice chorus, and some of the lead guitar, especially like in the intro and the last chorus, sounds awesome. And I really like the verse melody as well. And yeah, it's the transitions from, like, the loud, hard-hitting chorus to the softer verses is really cool. Got a lot of classic Breaking Benjamin melodies, like the transition from the 3 down to the 1 and the minor key. It's it's just a really well-written song, and it, just like most Breaking Benjamin songs, it doesn't use much more than 4 chords. So it's built off a really solid, unbreaking foundation. And even the verses they're only really made up of 3 different chords, and the soft part is only 2 different chords. So it's got this really solid foundation that just does not break, like most Breaking Benjamin songs. My next favorite is Until the End, which is one of the very few Breaking Benjamin songs they've ever done in swing, which is cool because they almost never, I don't even know if I can name another swing song off the top of my head. I mean, there are 3-4 songs here and there, like Psycho and Close to Heaven, but a Breaking Benjamin swing song hits different. It feels like it has so much attitude, and it's great. Like, especially, I remember when I first heard Until the End, I was kind of weird. Like, the transition from the hard hitting intro to the soft verses kind of weirded me out. But now it's like, holy shit, that's so cool. Like, it's a really cool transition, just like I mentioned in Breath. So, and the chorus is really simple. It's repetitive, but that works to its benefit. So it's just a really it's a fundamentally solid chorus built on these really just simple chord progressions. And again, a swing song just hits so much differently. And that, when Ben lets out that fucking belt, that high note, to go right into the last chorus after the bridge and that guitar solo, it's beautiful. So Until the End is a really, really cool song. And my not third favorite, but my final favorite is Dance with the Devil, because it's just a banger. It's kind of along the same lines as the other 2 songs, because it has these like nice verses, but then a hard hitting chorus. And I actually really like the way the chorus is written as well. And some of the I think this one is probably the strongest lyrically out of the three I've mentioned. It just gives off like it really just the way that the drums progress the song. It almost really feels like you're dancing with the devil. It's kind of fucked up, but really cool at the same time. But there's oh man, it's hard to pick three from any of these albums. But yeah, if I had to pick three, those would be my three favorites.
Yeah, I'm going through some of them again just to make sure, but I was pretty definite with my choices. I have four favorites because I can't decide which to choose as my three because they're just my four favorites. It's so hard to choose. But
well, I had to exclude Evil Angel. I wasn't happy about it.
Well, the ones that I have seen, well, the ones I saw as the best, Gus predicted that I would like Until the End and Unknown Soldier. Now,
yeah, and after Unknown Soldier, I really like Unknown Soldier. Just the only reason I picked Unknown Soldier, right, is because you liked What Lies Beneath, and it has this similar, vibes, as in like it has it's strong lyrically, and the chorus is, well, actually, it's not that similar, but I guess I just went with the lyrics. Like it feels like it has the same vibe as What Lies Beneath, but I was wrong.
Yeah.
But then I switched to You Fight Me and I was right.
Yes. So that's the thing. My three top favorites, or should I say my four favorites, are Evil Angel, Until the End, Topless, and You Fight Me. Now, Topless, I don't know why that one just stood out to me, but I heard Topless was actually like one of the oldest songs I've ever written. Like, apparently it's got a lot of history behind it, and I don't know, it's just really fucking good to me.
It feels like it belongs on Saturate.
Yeah.
But it's actually good.
Yeah, so I really liked that, but the one thing that interests me about like metal bands and rock bands is that usually the band knows what their hits will be. So they release those hits beforehand as singles, or a little bit after, depending on what happens. But usually bands know what their big songs will be. And so when I get into a new band, I try to ignore the obvious, like, favoritism to the favorite songs because they're singles. They've had a bit more time out there, and everyone knows they're the best. So that's why sometimes I like a little bit of the oddball songs in albums, because I just try to ignore what are the ones that are meant to be the favorites. Now, I couldn't look past Until the End. It was released as a single. It's one of the favorite songs out there, and I can't blame them for that. It's really fucking good. You can't look past Until the End as a solid song, and it kind of helped defines Breaking Benjamin. It gives you that style and that vibe. But you made a good point yesterday of The Diary of Jane being their actual most popular song. Yeah. And it was one of those older songs that just lives in everyone's emo phase. Now, I get it. I honestly get it. It's a good song. It's not one of my favorites, but I 100% understand why everyone loves this song. But again, one of the singles. And Breath as well. Like I told you, literally I was 2 songs into it. I'm like, yeah, Breath is one of my favorites so far. And you're like, what the fuck? You can't have a favorite in your second song. But then it was immediately, for me, it was trumped by Until the End, Evil Angel, and Topless. So, yeah. And You Fight Me it's one of the standouts in the album for being just, in my mind, it was completely different because it was more stripped down. And you know me, I focus on instrumentals a lot more. I love a good instrumental. And the instrumental for this was very unique compared to the rest of the album. And I'm like, ooh, I like this. So that's why I'm indecisive. I can't make up my mind on my top 3 because You Fight Me had to just come in at the very end and be like, hey, Trent, we're good too. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you are good. So this was it's trouble for me. But yeah, those four, I'd say, are my favorites from the album. I haven't actually, because I was listening to this late last night, I didn't actually hear the intro and outro, but their intro...
They're not really...
Their intro and outros, they're what you expect, I guess.
But yeah, I mentioned I like Unknown Soldier. Unknown Soldier is cool, and I really like the chorus of Unknown Soldier. It's beautiful almost. It's cool. But I really like Had Enough. It has so much attitude. But actually, I wanted to mention two unique songs that I don't think they've managed to recreate the kind of vibe you get from them since. And those are Here We Are and You. Here We Are is almost like, for the first half, is like this stripped back acoustic thing, and it's really interesting. It almost feels like it has this sort of theme of domestic conflict or something. It's really interesting, and you don't get a lot of that kind of grounded themes in Breaking Benjamin songs that much anymore. So it's a pretty cool kind of song, and You is one of the strongest songs lyrically on the album, I think. It's the lyrics of that song they stand out to me as like just so, I don't even know how to describe it, but like maybe like one of the lyrics is "So I got high," and that kind of is what it feels like. It has some really, like, the intro and stuff is just really unique, and some of the way he writes and sings in the song is almost unlike any other song they've done since. Again, I'm not too familiar with Saturate or We Are Not Alone, but man. So those are a couple other standout songs I wanted to mention. But Had Enough is cool. That was bordering on one of my favorites as well. But I also I like the whole album. Who am I kidding? So there you go. That's all I wanted to say. But yeah, actually, it's funny because I can't remember who it was, but someone who was in their emo phase was in control of the aux cord for some like gathering I was at recently, and the Diary of Jane just popped up, and I was like, whoa, it must be, it's I mean, I should have known since they're in their emo phase, but cool to hear the Diary of Jane just because it's a Breaking Benjamin song. So but yeah, I don't know, like, people will just listen to the Diary of Jane and not realize that Breaking Benjamin has so much other good music. Yeah. Which is a shame, but it is what it is. Also, before we move on to the next album, I wanted to mention a couple other things. There is the song So Cold, which actually originally got Breaking Benjamin really popular, before Diary of Jane became their most popular song. So Cold is from We Are Not Alone, and one of the things Breaking Benjamin stood out for as a band in the early 2000s was being really raw and not a lot of production put on it. So Benjamin himself didn't have a whole lot of auto-tune or whatever. Like, he was just very stripped back. So you can hear, especially in some of the older albums, like, his voice is out of tune with the song. And that was just like in the early 2000s, like, that was a vibe, like, people liked that kind of sound. Especially like harder rock fans, like more people like rock fans who are a little more into the music scene. They just liked having that raw feeling to his vocals. And he had such a unique voice too. Like, the way he would belt out these fucking interesting melodies. He just has such a distinguishable voice. So there's some pretty cool songs on We Are Not Alone, but So Cold got an Aurora version because obviously it's one of the more popular songs they've done. And it's a pretty good song. I actually like So Cold quite a bit. How did you feel about it?
So Cold. I like the Aurora version. What else?
It's pretty much the same as the original,
yeah,
so you don't really have to hear
what
both.
album was it on? What did you say? Sorry, I wasn't...
We Are Not Alone.
Yeah, We Are Not Alone. So I haven't heard the original, but...
Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Well, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like, because when I was listening to the Aurora album the first time, I was literally just in the car, and I was driving, like, to the shops, and I was more, because it was a shopping center I'd never been to before, I was more focused on the fucking where I was going, And like, I was just listening to it, and like it was just one of those songs, like, because there was a few songs in the Aurora album that, to me, I was just like, oh yeah, this is pretty fucking good, actually. Yeah, nice. And like then I would go back to looking at the road. So it was one of the ones that stood out to me amongst the fucking massive track list. But yeah, I like it. I enjoyed it. I don't really have anything unique to say about it, but I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool song. Like, what's cool is I can give you some insight because Benjamin himself did an interview for iTunes about Aurora, so he gave some pretty cool notes on some of the songs. And I remember reading about some of the writing process for So Cold and like the history behind it, like how it originally got them popular and stuff. It's pretty cool. So yeah, it was their song that first like originally blew up. So it's a pretty damn good song. So, but I feel like a lot of their more recent music has surpassed it.
Yeah, I'm very keen to gush about Aurora because I like the few songs that stood out to me. They really stood out to me because of their featured artists and whatnot. It was just really cool. But yeah, anyway,
there you go.
Keep going.
And then before we move on to Dear Agony, I just wanted to mention Saturate. I am not a big fan of Saturate, but some of the more I did make Trent play Forever by Force.
That was the one you said you could go to sleep to, isn't it?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, it's because it's a really light, and I like having background music or noise when I go to sleep. It breaks into a really heavy like chorus towards the very end, but and especially in the first few minutes, it's just this really light and steady beat, and Benjamin's singing is really nice and pleasant, fitting and fitting with the song. It's pretty much unlike any other Breaking Benjamin song I've ever heard, so that's why it stands out to me as a really cool song. And it's one of the ones where one of their early songs where Ben's singing doesn't really have a misstep. Like that along with So Cold and a couple others. Like Ben's pretty much in tune the whole time. So yeah, I really like Forever. It's just a very pleasant, beautiful song. So and the other one I wanted to mention was Polyamorous. I believe that's one of the more popular ones on Saturate. It's pretty cool, but again, it's not really my thing. So I'm not like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Saturate, but there are some good songs on it if you were to go out of your way to listen to it. But those are the two that kind of stood out to me. I listened to Polyamorous just because I saw that it was one of the more popular ones. And yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then yeah, so we can move on to Dear Agony if you're ready.
Yes, I've just gone through the track list again quickly to figure out which ones I'd say are my favorites, and I'm pretty comfortable with my selection.
Okay. And then, so like I said earlier, this was the first of the Breaking Benjamin albums that was written without any influence from drugs. So
yeah, I read that. Yeah, Dear Agony was the very first album he wrote sober.
Yep,
like this is the first album he wrote sober, which is pretty impressive.
It's amazing because Dear Agony is by and large considered their best album. I think I don't know that it has one of their perhaps any one of their best songs, but it's just so strong throughout. That it's probably overall considered the best album, and that's the general consensus, and I am inclined to agree, even though my personal favorite is still Ember. But yeah, it feels like just Dear Agony is so much more of an experience. Like there's so much emotion put into this album.
I will be honest. Like I'm still comfortable with the fact that I believe Dark Before Dawn is my favorite album, but you can definitely tell there's certain songs within Dear Agony that they punch different. There's a different, like, the lyrics just hit a little bit more harder. And you're right, like you said, there's more emotion here. And I agree with that. There's a little, I don't know what maybe I don't know if it's because he wrote it sober or if because he had different ideas for the album, but it definitely stands out. I understand why. Again, not a bad Breaking Benjamin song I've heard so far. I haven't heard a bad one, but you're right. When I was listening to Dear Agony, things did hit a bit differently. So I get what you're saying.
There's just so much more emotion in this one, I think. But there's just there's so many good songs. It's not my favorite, but is it the best? Probably. It's probably their best, by and large. So what are your three favorites? Okay,
my three favorites are Lights Out, What Lies Beneath, and Without You. Mm-hmm. Now, I this is when we first discovered that you had a knack for figuring out what songs I like, because you said, oh, by the way, you're going to like What Lies Beneath. And I've just gone through. You said, where did you say?
Yeah, you said you really like What Lies Beneath, and I said I had a feeling you would.
And you just like, that's a Trent song, and I'm like, you bitch, how did you know? But yeah, What Lies Beneath.
Just like I had that gut feeling, dude. I just knew you would like it.
I said I like Lights Out because it sounds literally like the perfect breakup song, and it does. Like, honestly, it's fucking, it's solid around the board. It's hard for me to describe even though I love instrumentals, it's hard for me to really describe instrumentals. But What Lies Beneath, I mean, the slow build and then the punching chorus is just like, oh my god, this is very good. And I think
it has some of the best lead guitar as well. Like some of the stuff in the chorus, like it's really good.
Yeah, and I believe
it definitely stands out on the album.
It's one of the singles as well, isn't it? What Lies Beneath?
I don't think so.
No, it's not actually.
It was
surprisingly.
I don't think it was.
The singles are "I Will Not Bow," "Give Me a Sign," and "Lights Out." That's very interesting.
Yeah, that sounds right. I thought it was gonna be "Dear Agony." I was wrong.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting.
Of course, What Lies Beneath was definitely not a single.
Well, I guess you're right then. I just like the oddball songs. But and without You, isn't that what they capped it off with? Wasn't that near the end?
Yes, that was the last song.
What an ending. Fucking hell.
It's the best ending song. Like, it's one of the best songs to ever end an album, in my opinion. It's so incredible.
It recaps this roller coaster of in-depth emotions really well, because what you were saying with with this album standing out and probably being the best, like, this is what a way to cap it off. Like, holy fuck, I don't know how to describe it. Because I just listened to all these last night, I'm trying to gather the words. It's difficult, but I fucking think Without You, you're right, is one of the best songs to end an album with. Just that. Yeah. What was the lyrics I sent to you, and you said you sounded really offended, and you're like, bitch, I know the lyrics.
You said the chorus of What Lies Beneath, and I was like, bitch, I know the chorus.
Okay, I love the chorus because, that's right, I'm starting to remember it now. I love the chorus to that because the lyrics, like, if you actually see the words, like, they're not used a lot, like, your jaded eyes or something like that. I'm trying to find, where did I copy and paste it to? Where is it? I'm going through our entire fucking chat.
So, find what lies beneath your sick, twisted smile as I lie underneath your cold, jaded eyes.
Yeah, and then
so you turn the tide on me because you're so unkind. I will always be here for the rest of my life.
Because you're so.
There you go. I told you I know the chorus.
Yeah, that's right. Your cold, jaded eyes, like, lyrics like that stand out well. And then, because you're so unkind. Not a lot of people can make unkind fit lyrically. But they fucking did it well here. Like, the odd use of certain words, they were able to make it blend well and fit. And that's why the song standed out to me a bit, like, more, because they used a few more unique words than you would usually in a rock song, just to try and prove a point. They decided to, like, go a bit different and try and use a few other words, and, like, holy fuck, there's a dictionary. Take advantage of it, you fucking rock artists. And they did. it was really nice.
Yeah.
And well,
It was good.
Lyrically, What Lies Beneath stood out to me the most, but yeah, it was amazing. It was so good. I'm comfortable with those, like, whereas with Phobia, I was like indecisive about my top 3. I'm comfortable with my top 3 here. But again, the entire album is just solid. It's just incredibly solid.
Okay, so my 3 favorites are actually on completely opposite sides of the album. They are Fade Away, I Will Not Bow, and Without You. So basically, Fade Away is one of the most fun Breaking Benjamin songs I've ever heard. It just makes me want to jam out every time I hear it. And it's got a pretty catchy chorus as well. And I like just the sound of the verses. The verses have got a really simple melody, and they repeat. It has a very simple theme. It sounds like a lot of other Breaking Benjamin songs, but something about that opening riff and the way Ben sings in the chorus, it just drew me to it, I guess. So that's one of my. It's such an interesting contrast between like how jammy the opening track is and how emotional the last one is. But I Will Not Bow is probably, I think, the second most popular Breaking Benjamin song ever. For good reason. It's one of the. This one makes me just want to headbang. It just makes me want to fucking chuck some people across a room. It's awesome. If I ever this is one of my go-to gym songs. It's just so badass.
I haven't been to the gym in a while because they're all fucking closed. But I can imagine one of these Breaking Benjamin songs in the next album would be the ultimate song I would pump iron to. I'll explain it next when we get to Dark Before Dawn. But I get what you're saying. A lot of these songs just give you that high octane energy and be like, bitch, I'm going to run a marathon. You're fucking out there.
Yeah.
It just gives you the energy.
And the intro to this song is incredible. Like the way they've edited the way the guitar sounds, just sounds so cool. The intro to I Will Not Bow is just one of the coolest intros I've ever heard. It's so cool. And then when Benjamin screams like "Fall," and it just breaks down into that awesome riff. It's so cool. There's so many good songs. I really my other favorite was Without You. That's obviously one of the strongest lyrically. It has, again, the verses are pretty repetitive, but that's kind of the normal thing in Breaking Benjamin songs. And especially what stands out to me is the way, especially the intro. I really like the intro to Without You and the chorus, as well as the last. Oh man, it's like an outro. It's not the string outro, but like the lyrics in like the last bit. It's like holding the hand that holds me down. I forgive you, forget you, the end. Those are just really cool lyrics to me. So just the way the whole song is put together, it's so cool. And it really gives off the vibe that you're facing some fuck shit and, you need someone to help you. And that's awesome. Cause that's called friendship and whatever the fuck. So, or I don't know, having a girlfriend must be nice. But there's so many good songs. Obviously the title track, Dear Agony, it's one of the few, actually it might be the only song, maybe there might be a song called Saturate, but it's one of the few, if not the only, then one of the two songs that have ever gotten a title track, been matching the title of the album. Dear Agony is a really cool song. It's one of, if not the most emotional song they've ever done. There's just so much emotion in it, and it feels like it's almost like dealing with all these mental issues before it really became like a prominent issue in the world. Because this was 2009. So it's almost like dealing with all this mental trauma without, like, even way before it became such a prominent issue in society. So it's really cool. and obviously this was the first song he wrote sober, so obviously he must have gone through quite a lot of shit while dealing with overcoming his alcoholism.
Yeah.
So that you really feel those emotions in that song. Give Me a Sign as well is one of the most emotional songs. Definitely a standout. It's such a pretty song. And one of the strongest Breaking Benjamin songs lyrically ever. It's again, spiritual themes, but just really, really cool song. And then stuff like Crawl and Hopeless are just these pretty cool jammy songs. Like, they just make me want to headbang and shit. So there's just so much variety on this album. It's awesome. It's amazing. So yeah, but Without You, I think, is probably my favorite song on this album, but they're just all so good. And actually, fun fact, Into the Nothing was one of the first ever Breaking Benjamin songs I listened to. After I got into Ember, and I was still listening to my songs on iTunes, I illegally downloaded Into the Nothing. I heard it by accident on an AMV, and ended up liking it a lot. So
AMVs.
That's why there you go.
So you find good emo music.
Yes. So Into the Nothing kind of has a special place in my heart, but it's one of the songs, along with Unknown Soldier, that they don't really get played live, but when they do, it's dedicated to the army. They're dedicated to the troops, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, and you can hear it in the lyrics, like
you can hear it in the first 5 seconds. Jesus.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a lot of the lyrics, like stuff like lying in the earth side by side. There's some just really cool themes lyrically in that song. So, but yeah, there you go. There's some Dear Agony knowledge for you.
Nice.
And opinions.
Well, I'm happy to move along to Dark Before Dawn, because I have a lot to gush. I have a lot to gush about this album.
Go for it. I've gushed enough.
So although it was my first album, I'm definitely more attuned to this album, and I know a lot more about it because it was the first one I heard, and I've had a whole month to fucking vibe to it. Every song on this is great. From I know they put the setup of even the listing of the tracks, like having Dark be number 1, and then Dawn be the last song, like Dark Before Dawn.
Yeah.
Haha. Look at that wordplay. It fucking works though. Like Dark is a very just interesting introduction, and you're like, oh fuck, they're back, they're back, boy.
Oh shit.
Every song, and then you're right. They hit you with Failure. And you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, I get what you're saying, and how Failure could be, is most likely your favorite song. I get it, bro. It is fucking good. Every song on this album just slaps. Every song on this album. I know. I'm pretty sure you have a thing for Defeated. I'm pretty sure, or Ashes of Eden. I don't know, but
both, all of them, all of the songs on this album.
All the songs, look. And also, my friend Tamisha Sertemichi, she and our other friend Tiff, their favorite song is Ashes of Eden. Whenever they're upset and just hop in a car, they play Ashes of Eden. And, I get it, bro. I fucking get it. But I love every song on this album, but I'm comfortable with my top 3. Them being Failure, Breaking the Silence, and Bury Me Alive. Because I've talked about this in other reviews and when we've talked about albums before, but especially in our reviews, when songs have stacked layers or like a double layered of the vocals, it makes it pop a little bit more for impacting moments. And I feel like Bury Me Alive and Breaking the Silence really took advantage of this. And that's probably another reason why they stood out to me. But even just the pacing of Breaking the Silence, I cannot help but vibe and sing along with it whenever I hear it. It's just, I don't know, something about Breaking the Silence stands out to me very well. But Failure is phenomenal in every sense of the word. Just, it draws you in, it hits you with the impact, and you just stay there. You sit in your chair and you just sing your heart out because Failure, why the fuck not? It's good. And Bury Me Alive is definitely one of the more oddball ones of the album. I can attest to that. But then again, I don't know. I just like the oddballs. And I don't know what they're saying, but in the chorus, when they're singing and then it goes to like the screaming bit, like when they're what are they singing? I'm going to bring it up. Bury Me Alive. I'm curious now. But
light the way and let me go.
And then
I will break and let you fall. Something I don't know.
Yeah. But there's like a bit in between it where they're like, and they're just screaming their fucking lungs out, and I don't know what they're saying. And
are you thinking of Breaking the Silence?
No, it's in Breaking the Silence as well, but it's in Bury Me Alive as well. It's in both. They have that sort of lyric. They have that sort of energy about them. Both of them do. I'm bringing up the lyrics as well now.
Suffocate inside.
Wait.
I hear it. Suffocate inside. Bury me alive. Because there's a part where they scream or he screams in Breaking the Silence where you just can't fucking tell what he's saying. Where he's like, work up the blood.
Yeah, that bit. Yeah, that. So,
that's in Breaking the Silence.
So yeah, in Bury Me Alive they say suffocate inside. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It doesn't sound like that, but you know what? I'll.
No, it definitely sounds like that.
Does it?
Yes.
I'm going to listen to it again right now. But yeah.
Okay.
Either way, that's what I'm happy with. Wait, hold on.
Okay. While you do that.
Oh, it sounds like they're saying suffocate. I do hear suffocate. All right.
Yeah.
No problem.
Suffocate inside.
Anyway, yeah. So Failure, Breaking the Silence, and Bury Me Alive. Those are my favorites from this album. Although the entirety of the album is amazing, I fucking love these three. These are just epic.
Yep. Okay, so my turn. So my three favorites are Failure, Hollow, and I'm a little torn actually because basically the whole last half of the album is like my favorite. I'm gonna go with the oddball because I want to talk about it a little bit and go with The Great Divide.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the oddball just because I'm going to talk about the others anyway. Obviously, we've covered Failure enough. It's amazing in every way. It's great. It's just lyrically very strong. And it has one of my favorite vocal melodies I've ever heard. Where it's just so simple and oh my god. The thing I like the most about it is that the chorus, it literally, the entire song is 4 different chords. And the chorus is made up of the most basic minor chord progression imaginable, the 1-6-3-7. And it's just the way he makes it work so well. So many different songs use this progression, and it's amazing. So the fact that he gets it to work so well, and the last bit where he goes, tear the whole world down, just the way that flows in the song, the way is beautiful.
It just hits you differently. It is just,
yes.
I don't know. That is the delivery of that line. It just fills you with so much emotion. It just fills you with like the, oh my god, this is amazing.
It's great. Like
it hits different.
It's because and the way. It's the structure of the song. It's the way the song is built. It's fantastic. And that's the reason it hits you so hard is because it uses that fifth interval and then moves up to the I think it's a D sharp. And then by switching to the 7 chord. So obviously there's some music theory involved here. Not going to get into it, but it's amazing. That's the reason it hits you so hard. It's just using the basic, the fundamentals of music theory to just slap you right in the face. So yeah, Failure is great. And the opening riff, it's definitely not my favorite Breaking Benjamin riff they've ever done, but man, when it comes in after that, that really soft intro, man, it just hits so hard. So the Failure is great. Hollow actually is It's so cool because it starts with it's another one of my oddball favorites. It's such a cool song. If you listen to it with nice headphones, that opening riff absolutely murders your face off.
Yeah.
It's
100.
one of the heaviest riffs in the album, if not the heaviest. It is incredible. And I really like the way that it keeps the first chorus at like a half chorus, and then it expands in the second chorus to include the second half. And I really like the second half of the chorus, because like the first half of the chorus is fine, but the second half of the chorus is the part I really like. Where it's like, I can't go on. I really like that part. And it kind of deals with, I think it's got like some kind of love breakup theme, whatever.
You can tell. You can tell it would.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I don't know, it's something about the way the whole song is crafted I just really like. The verses are really cool too. Again, it's like Breath, because it's the same two chords, just making up the verses, and it's again the way they transition from those soft verses to that hard-hitting chorus is great. So I'm a big fan of Hollow. And then The Great Divide actually is one of my oddball favorites. It's probably only recently gotten into my top 3. But really, I really like the opening riff for one. And again, it's like it keeps the chorus like half the first time, and then it expands in the second chorus. I really like the way the verses sound as well. Again, pretty typical Breaking Benjamin stuff, but it still hits me real good. And actually, what's funny is that I always, for some reason, I don't know why, but I always associate it with that episode of The Last Airbender, The Great Divide, even though they have nothing to do with each other. They have nothing to do with each other.
Nothing to do with each other.
And the episode of The Last Airbender is actually kind of lame.
It is. That's what it's like. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of bad. So that's why I don't know, it's just weird. But for some reason, whenever I listen to it, it doesn't necessarily remind me of that episode specifically. I don't know. It just reminds me of The Last Airbender for some reason. And I get happy because I like The Last Airbender.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I don't know why, but I really like it has some big intervals in it vocally. Like, I'm trying to think of it. It's like the one in the second chorus where he's like, oh my god, I gotta hear it, hold on, I don't remember it. Oh my god, come on, Ben, figure it out. Yeah, that's the one where he's like, and I'll break for you. That one, I really like that one. That's a really nice sounding interval.
The Great Divide.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Good shit.
So I really like that one really stands out to me. It's just a really nice sounding vocal melody. So I really like that. And I don't know, I just like the chorus. It just stands out to me for some reason. But again, I like every single song on this album so much. Never Again, even though it was one of the singles, I really like it. It feels strong lyrically, and if you've seen the music video, it's trippy as hell. But it's really cool. This is Never Again is one of those songs where it feels like its importance is amplified by a music video and watching the music video. So you get a different vibe by just experiencing the music video along with the song. It just feels like it amplifies like how cool the song is. Bury Me Alive, I really like the opening riff. Is really good. If you're just trying to headbang, that's the one.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And one of the oh man, I don't remember. I think Angels Fall was a single, but I don't feel like it gets enough appreciation. Angels Fall is one of my favorites as well. Like, it's just such a nice, they're all one of my favorites. Who am I kidding? But I just feel like Angels Fall is it's like classic Breaking Benjamin, but it just feels, it's really pleasant and it's really nice. I just feel like it doesn't get enough appreciation. It was on Aurora, so maybe it does, but I don't know. It's just really nice. And obviously Ashes of Eden is a really great song, and there's more to that story, which I want to talk about in the next album because it's part of the next album. But Ashes of Eden is a really great song. And then Defeated, I also feel like doesn't get enough appreciation. A lot
of the songs, although are fucking awesome, like a lot of them just don't get talked about enough. That's why, like, Breaking the Silence and Bury Me Alive. That's why I wanted to choose them and talk about them specifically, because, like, you're right. The entire album is solid, but it's weird how little you hear of the actual songs, breaking them down. It's weird.
Yeah, and I remember way back when, like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago or something, I did a cover of Defeated because I really liked it at the time, and it was it's just one of those songs to me that feels, it's like such a well crafted song, and it's really strong. One of the strongest lyrically on the album for sure, and it just I think the fact that it comes after, it has to follow Ashes of Eden doesn't help it. Because Ashes of Eden is such a standout, and it's completely different from anything they've ever done before, and they've done since. But yeah, I really like Defeated. It's just got this really aggressive feeling to it. I don't know why, but for some reason I associate The Last Airbender with this. I don't know why, but it's I associate. What is it? The part where where Aang gets almost murdered in the Earth Capital, Ba Sing Se, where he gets struck by lightning. So it feels like a song that happens after that, you know? I don't know. That's what I associate it with. But, so yeah, it just feels, I don't know. Like, I just love the whole album for real. I guess the only song I haven't talked about is Close to Heaven, which is probably my least favorite on the album, but it's still really good. It's one of those 3-4 songs I mentioned earlier. It's I don't know. I like them all, dude.
No, I don't blame you. I like them all too.
Yeah,
but
there you go. But
let's move. Okay, this is going to be upsetting. I have half an hour to keep going, so I'm not going to talk. I don't have a lot to say about the Tourniquet. No, not the Tourniquet. The Ember and the Aurora albums. I have a bit to say about. Actually, no, I do have a bit to say, but I'll make it quick because I'm bad at explaining things. But if we move on to Ember,
Ember, Tourniquet's not the album title.
No, but I keep talking about it because Tourniquet's my favorite song. So okay, you know how Ember, like you said before, Ember's your favorite album, but Failure is your favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon Dark Before Dawn is my favorite album, but Tourniquet is my favorite song.
Fair.
So, just the build-up, the quick build-up of Tourniquet, and then the screaming and the way it picks up, then brings it back down, and just the softer lyrics, the softer delivery of the lyrics, like, I will make you, I will start the pain within, I will crave you, I will learn to hate again. And then he starts getting more intense with it. And then I think it's the bridge he says, because I don't want to live inside this hell. And that's
part of the chorus.
I think it's the start of the chorus, I think. And then the chorus itself.
Oh, pre-chorus, yeah.
The chorus itself is the perfect, like, structure of songs I love, where it has, like, it's slower singing, but then it brings up the intensity with the second line that gets double-layered vocals, like, tame the fire from within, and then the double-layered, you won't break me. It's just like, oh, fuck. Like, it hits so differently with me. And then, like, the entire song, the way it's structured, the lyrics, the instrumental, Tourniquet is my favorite song 110%, and I don't know why, I just fucking love it. The other two favorites would probably, for me, be Feed the Wolf and Blood. Blood has some fucking sick riffs in there, man. I fucking love Blood. But the entire album, again, like, there's not a bad song, but there's not, for me, there wasn't really many that stood out. I know you're probably going to say otherwise because it's your favorite album, but for me, but probably because I listened to Dark Before Dawn first, everything just stood out a bit more then because it was a new experience. But
yeah,
for Ember, Tourniquet, 110% my favorite. Feed the Wolf, Blood. I even liked like Psycho and Close Your Eyes. Like, they're fucking really, really good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Tourniquet, I love it. And even the Aurora version is still intense, but still stripped down. And I don't know how they've done it. It's fucking epic. Yeah, There you go. Tourniquet, favorite Breaking Benjamin song. I don't know. It's hard to explain why. I've tried to in 2 minutes. But there you go. I think Tourniquet is comfortably my favorite Breaking Benjamin song.
It's kind of interesting you say that, because for me, again, Ember was my first, but like it felt like Dark Before Dawn was way more samey than this album, because there's so much variety. Because there's like almost every song in Ember, going back and listening to some of Breaking Benjamin's previous work, it almost feels like a new band almost. It's so interesting because not a lot of it feels like what you would expect from Breaking Benjamin, which is so interesting. And the reason for that is this is actually where Ben started to leave some of the writing to the new band members. And it's really cool because I actually just read, you'll be interested to hear this, I read up about Tourniquet recently because it was on Aurora and they just released a lyric video for it on their YouTube channel. And actually, Tourniquet was, I think, the only song on Ember that Ben had just about zero input on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently Keith Wallen, who was originally a guitarist for Adelita's Way, wrote the whole thing himself.
No fucking wonder. Holy shit.
Yep.
I love Adelita's Way as well. Fuck.
Yep. So there you go.
There you go. All right, so, that is very interesting. The one song that has no input by
there you go.
Ben is my favorite. I'm sorry.
So Ben wrote some lyrics, and he wrote, like, I think he wrote most of the lyrics and a couple vocal melodies, but that's about it. Like, apparently Keith sent Ben the demo, and that was like one of the only times where Ben was like, "Yep, that's it. That's gonna be a Breaking Benjamin song." So there you go.
Wow. That's
the whole. Keith did the whole instrumental.
I almost feel a little bad because it's the one song with the littlest influence from Breaking Benjamin, from Benjamin himself.
Yep.
That is so funny.
There you go.
Oh my god. Well.
So yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
But yeah, the thing is, a lot of the songs here, Ben and the guitarists, and even the drummer and the bassist, they work together to write, like, all together. Songs like Feed the Wolf, Red Cold River, they all wrote together, which is really cool. Like, a lot of the writing credits goes to multiple, like, more than just Ben, which is really cool. But obviously there's one or two songs that Ben is just done by himself. So anyway, my favorites for this album are Feed the Wolf, The Dark of You, and Torn in Two, but Blood is really close.
Blood. Woo-hoo.
Blood has one of my favorite choruses ever written. Again, it's along the same lines as Failure, where it uses the fundamentals of music theory to slap you in the face. It's beautiful. It just has such a fundamentally solid structure and bass for it. Like, the chords they use are not crazy, but the way they execute them and build them in with the drums and bass, and then along with the vocal melody, like, it's beautiful. And some of the screams in Blood are some of the best Ben has ever done. Blood's really high up there, but I just find myself listening to Torn in Two more. So I just figured I'd include it on my favorites. Torn in Two is one of the singles. The singles on this one were Tourniquet, Red Cold River and Torn in Two. So, although I think they released a bunch of singles for this one. Blood was one of them as well. So they released
I just want to say, like, sorry. I just want to say that with that knowledge that I know everything previously written was by Breaking Benjamin, but with that knowledge, like by Burnley himself, but with that knowledge that he's willing to trust his bandmates to write something like Tourniquet and then have it as one of the singles for the album, it kind of hints towards, like, I know they just released Aurora, but that kind of hints towards a future where he's willing to be a lot more collaborative and have a different feel to the future to their future music. If he's willing to trust the rest of his new bandmates that much, that's pretty epic. Like I'm expecting whenever the new album, whenever there is a new album, I'm sure it will be a few years off, but whenever there is something new, it's gonna be. It's probably going to be a standout. It's probably going to hit different.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and again, like, a lot of Jasen Rauch, who was originally from Red, does a lot of writing for the guitars as well. It's just really cool. Jasen was a big part of writing Red Cold River. And that was one of the singles. Tourniquet got a music video. Those are the three that got a music video. Red Cold River, Torn in Two, and Tourniquet got music videos. So, Red Cold River is really cool too. It's one of those songs that it feels like Breaking Benjamin, but at the same time, it's like, whoa, this hits harder than Breaking Benjamin normally hits, because that chorus is insane. It's so good, and oh man, so Red Cold River is really great. You talked about Tourniquet. Psycho's cool. Anyway, the Psycho is another one of those 3-4 songs I mentioned. It makes it stand out, just because it has a different feel to, like, the pacing and stuff. And there's a lot of good vocal melodies in Psycho that I like a lot. But anyway, The Dark of You is the one I really wanted to talk about. The Dark of You is one of my favorite songs lyrically they've ever done, and it's just so stripped down and raw. And it's, again, one of those softer songs, but man, does it hit you hard. Like, if you go out at night and listen to The Dark of You, just drive around, you are gonna, like, vibe, and you're gonna, like, have an existential crisis.
I've vibed to many different Breaking Benjamin songs, and a lot of them have just made, like, while driving at night. Literally, I was driving home from my friend's place that lives like 45 minutes away at, like, nearly midnight, and I had just Breaking Benjamin on shuffle, and not only was I jamming, but then some of the songs I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I was just like, oh my god, this vibe is a good vibe.
The Dark of You makes you have, like, a fucking huge, like, makes you realize your place in the universe. It's like, it talks about the end of the world and shit, and one of my favorite lines is at the very end where they repeat, "Save this selfish world." Like, it talks about the downfalls of humanity, and it's just so heavy. It's such heavy stuff. And, like, even through the whole song, talking about the dark parts of humanity, the song ends with a plea to someone, save this selfish world. I love that. Like, even despite all of the downfalls we have, like, we have to keep on living so we can redeem ourselves, essentially. It's fantastic. And actually, there's a story behind The Dark of You, not just in the lyrics, but actually in the guest vocalist, who does the harmonies in this song, Derek Hoff, who I'm not exactly sure how he got famous, but eventually, I think around the time Dark Before Dawn came out, he was diagnosed with a pretty serious illness, and one of the songs that got him through it and kept him positive was Ashes of Eden, and he did a huge cover of Ashes of Eden on his YouTube channel with, like, a bunch of hired actors and dancers and shit, and it is fucking impressive. You go seek it out if you can. The Derek Hoff's cover of Ashes of Eden. It's not only great in terms of his performance of it, but it's just the music video is just it's incredible. Like, the Breaking Benjamin music video of Ashes of Eden is cool. It fits well with the song, but man, like, there's no, like, the visual impressiveness, the scale of that music video is something else. And so because of that, Ben actually brought Derek on to do the harmonies in The Dark of You. And he's the only guest vocalist on this album. So there you go. There's some more history for you. So that's another reason The Dark of You, I think, is really cool. And especially since it's almost like the thematic opposite of Ashes of Eden. So it's instead of like pleading to some sort of spiritual figure, it's instead like talking about like our mortality and shit. It's heavy shit. So yeah, and then Torn in Two, another one of my favorites. It's just, this was one of the only ones on the album that Ben wrote himself. So he had no real influence, and this was actually going to be a song on Dark Before Dawn, but it got scrapped in the last minute. So, but it ended up on Ember. I almost feel like it fits well. It fits better on Ember because I almost feel like it's too similar to Breaking the Silence because of just the way that it's structured. It's like immediately kicks off with this heavy ass riff, and the vocals in the verses sound kind of almost robotic, but not in a bad way. It feels like they're just these like almost emotionless sounding vocals. It's so similar to Breaking the Silence, but it's not. The chorus isn't as intense and not as hard hitting. But I love Ben's falsetto in the chorus, and again, like you mentioned, it has some like layered vocals. That falsetto on top, and then he goes, "Hold on, we're barely alive," etc. It's really cool, and Ben doesn't falsetto too much anymore. He does every so often, like in Feed the Wolf, he does. But I love the sound of his falsetto vocals. So, and what I mean is like, what is it? It's like, I am torn in two. So that high part that's his falsetto, and it sounds really nice. So I'm a big fan of that one, and they layer it again in the last chorus where Ben is singing "Please Hold On." I think that's the lyrics. I can't remember, but anyway, Blood, I already talked about. It's dope as fuck. It makes me want to headbang until my head falls off. Close Your Eyes, actually, I feel like is one of the standouts as well, and I feel like it doesn't get enough attention because it's almost more of like an actual fun jammy rock song than Breaking Benjamin is used to doing, that you would expect from them. And it has this really cool fast-paced riff at the beginning and these fun upbeat verses, and then it switches into the chorus and it's a lot more slow-paced and the drums slow down, and there's these really nice vocal melodies, and I think it's really cool, and the way it leads right into the outro song Vega is great as well. So but anyway, the last two songs I haven't mentioned, Down and Save Yourself. Save Yourself is pretty much regular Breaking Benjamin. It's another one of those songs that Ben wrote himself. It's probably the only song on the album that didn't feel like something I wouldn't expect. Save Yourself felt more like something I would expect out of Breaking Benjamin. And then Down is really fun as well. But that's about all I have to say on that one. Like, I really like some of the vocals in that one, but that's about it. Yeah. There you go. Knowledge.
There you go. Now we'll move on to the latest album, Aurora, which was interesting. When I first heard about Aurora, I thought, okay, it's an acoustic album. It's not an acoustic album. Aurora is literally, it's just newer renditions. Some are stripped down, yeah, but newer renditions of previous songs, some with featured artists now.
And one new single.
And a new single, yes. Was it Far Away? I believe was the new single. It was pretty good.
I really like it. I like it.
I like it as well. But the songs that I like, again, Tourniquet, again, fucking awesome. Failure featuring Michael Barnes. Fuck, that was really, really good. But
yeah, it was.
I actually, this album gave me a newer appreciation for both Dance with the Devil and Dear Agony. Not only because of their featured artists, but because of, like, just the different approach to these songs. I kind of found myself liking them a lot more. Not only that, Dance with the Devil features Adam Gontier, who was the original vocalist for 3 Days Grace. And it's like, holy fuck. I know he's made a new band since leaving 3 Days Grace, but I haven't been able to catch up with him. But it's like catch up with what he's done. But his fucking vocals, like, oh my god. He's so good. And just hearing him, I was just like, this is great to hear him again. And in a song like Dance with the Devil, good placement. Like, he belongs. It just works. And then Dear Agony featuring Lacey Sturm. And I'm like, Lacey Sturm, I've heard of her before. And then I check it up, and she was the first featured artist that Skillet have ever had on the Unleashed Beyond special album with Breaking Free. Lacey Sturm's the first ever featured artist that Skillet has ever had. I think
you should also mention that she's the singer of the band Flyleaf.
And she was. Apparently, she was the singer of the band Flyleaf. Apparently, she broke up, departed from them, from what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
But in October 2012, shortly before the release of New Horizons, she had biblically left Flyleaf. So
there you go.
So she does solo stuff now, but yeah, the fact that she guest performed in Breaking Free and then Dear Agony Aurora version, like, damn, I like you, Lacey. I'm starting to like your shit. Yeah, you got some good shit. But yeah, there you go. I like the new approach, the different approach to these songs. Like, I remember when I talked to you about this, you said that some of the songs were odd inclusions, like for...
Some of them I just think work better as rock songs.
Yeah, I get
Tourniquet,
what you're saying.
Torn in Two.
I think I agree with those two. I still like this version of Tourniquet. I prefer the original, but I get what you're saying. Like this, Torn in Two, maybe even like Red Cold River.
Red Cold River for sure.
Yeah, big time. They definitely just work better as rock songs, but I get what you're saying. I enjoyed this album. Again, I just vibed to it because they all had a similar feel to each other, which was a bit different from Breaking Benjamin, but you still get the understanding that this is Breaking Benjamin, but they just approached it differently. And I can vibe to the whole album just because of the nice general feel it gives you. Yeah. But yeah, I'm indecisive. I like it. I'm more... Now that I'm into Breaking Benjamin, I know they just released this at the start of this year, but I am more keen for a new album to fucking slap me in the face and make me vibe all over again.
Jizz your pants.
I'm so keen for a newer album. I like this approach to the older songs, but yeah.
I imagine a new album will come out next year.
Not next year, the year after, probably, if anything. But they seem consistent now, but...
I mean, Aurora was in the works for a long time, so I bet they could release a new album next year if they wanted to.
Maybe. Ember was 2018, I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, like possibility.
I mean, I just know because I remember reading that they had an idea for the acoustic album for a long-ass time. Like ever since After Dark Before Dawn. So they just had to bring it all together. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you for the most part. Like, Failure, I really like. Obviously, I was fucking hype as shit when that got announced. When I saw that Michael was going to be on Failure, which is my favorite song, my favorite Breaking Benjamin song, and two of my favorite vocalists ever. So I was super hyped for this, and it did not disappoint me. Michael sounds wonderful on Failure, and it's very good. So I actually am a big fan of Far Away. Very simple, but Scooter Ward, who's the singer for Cold, band I've never heard of, but he sounds great in this, and I really liked the different approach to a Breaking Benjamin song, like the acoustic sound and the piano. It's just it's really refreshing for a Breaking Benjamin song. And probably the other one I liked was Never Again. I think Never Again as an acoustic works really well. And I do prefer a lot of the originals, but I'll still listen to the Aurora versions. Like I very much prefer Torn in Two from Ember, but the Aurora version I don't think is bad at all. I just think it works much better as the rock song it originally was. Again, Tourniquet as well. Red Cold River, not Spencer Chamberlain, not a song. But Spencer Chamberlain, who is the singer for Under Oath, I believe, got featured on Red Cold River, the Aurora version of Red Cold River, which I think was a pretty good choice stylistically. I think his voice fits the vibe of the song pretty well, and I was surprised how well they managed to pull off things like this and Tourniquet as acoustic songs, especially since both of them rely pretty heavily on screaming vocals, and you don't really want screaming vocals in your acoustic songs, but then again, they just made it work. So, I mean, Red Cold River didn't really have any screaming, but...
That's the other thing about this album. They just made it work.
Yeah,
they did it.
They just made it work. So, yeah, and there's some cool info. Actually, Angels Falls, another one that I think works very well as an acoustic. I read up on Failure, the Aurora version of Failure, and basically all that happened was Ben reached out to Michael and asked him, hey, what song do you want to be on? And Michael picked Failure. And it's just like, wow. He not only is he a great vocalist, he has excellent taste. So he ended up picking Failure to be featured on. And it was great. And I remember... I think I originally saw, like, there was a picture of Mike in the studio recording for Failure that was posted on Instagram a while before this album came out. And I saw Ben comment on it, and he was like, yeah, I brought in my friend Michael to sing Failure. And I was like, oh, my God! So that was before it was officially announced, and I was like, holy shit! So it was great. Another one that I think works very well is Dear Agony. I think it almost sounds better as the acoustic. And Lacey Sturm's vocals don't hurt it either. So, but yeah, those two sound wonderful together, especially with Lacey doing those harmonies in the chorus. Oh, just beautiful. But there's actually a story behind Dance with the Devil, having Adam Gontier on Dance with the Devil. They toured together. Their 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin toured together back when Phobia came out.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, keep going, but I've heard about this.
Yeah, Phobia, they toured together when Phobia came out, and Adam would come on stage to sing Dance with the Devil. And I don't remember which song Ben would sing with 3 Days Grace, but Adam would come on stage to sing Dance with the Devil, and he'd already... So Ben, when I read about it, it was like, oh yeah, Adam had already sung Dance with the Devil about 100 times over. So it was only natural that we brought him in to do it again in the studio. And I was like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. I mean, I think Ben sounds better in the original. I think his vocals just work better, but the Aurora version is very nice as well.
Yeah, Phobia was 2006, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What?
It was.
It was, yes. Sorry, you cut out. Yeah, because 3 Days Grace just released the album 1X at the same time, and I think it was the song 1X that he sung on Burnley, I think it was. I don't remember either, but yeah, I do remember reading that story somewhere rather recently. But that's really fucking cool, in all honesty.
There you go. They also did they did music video for Far Away, and they recently did a music video for the Dear Agony Aurora version, with Lacey in it. She's tiny. She's so small.
She's so small.
She's so small. But yeah, like, Aurora is just a really cool take on some of the songs you're familiar with. I'm really glad a couple of the songs got acoustic versions. Stuff like Failure, Angels Fall, and Never Again like a lot of them I think work really well as acoustic versions. And so I'm really glad they were transformed into that. So yeah, I don't know. I vibe to this, dude. It's just a really cool like another perspective on some of the songs we're already familiar with.
Yeah, so, definitely.
There you go. And that's pretty much all, right? That's the last of the. I
think that's all we need to cover because we're keen for more music whenever it does get released. I might go back to listen to the older ones. I don't know yet. Don't ruin it. Is it not worth it? Don't ruin it.
I mean, if you want to listen to like if you want to listen to the original So Cold, you can do that. And I mean, I don't think they're necessarily bad. They're just not nearly on the same level. So yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're feeling. If you feel like you're going out of your way for it, then go for it. But
I might, but it just depends. But yeah. That's what we think.
I'm sure you might find like a song or two that you like, especially on We Are Not Alone. Like there are some pretty like interesting stuff, but it's just not on the same level. It's not like the same level of godlike as the rest of Break Benjamin. The only other thing I wanted to mention is the song they did called "Blow Me Away," which was in a Transformers movie, and I can't remember which one. I can't remember which one, but it was after Dear Agony. It was made in 2010. So it was before all their shit went down. So yeah, it's a pretty cool song, and there's even one featuring Valora, who I'm not. I believe
see that I heard about that. That remix version with Valora was one of the songs that caused the controversy because that's when two of the other band members were just like, oh yeah, make a remix version of it. Yeah, do what you want. And Burnley was like, no, I did not approve of this. And yeah, but I heard about the So Cold release and the remix. So
yeah, well, Blow Me Away is a pretty cool song. It's not quite on the same level as some of their best stuff, but I don't know, it's pretty cool. Jonathan Young did a cover of it the other day. I saw it and it reminded me of it.
What a lad.
Yeah, what a lad. So yeah, there you go. It was in a Transformers movie. Apparently all the cool bands in the 2000s. Linkin Park, they did New Divide. Man, everyone did a fucking song for Transformers.
Yeah, a lot of people did actually.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know why.
It's the vibes in the 2000s, dude.
I guess. Alright, well, I'll let you take care of the outro.
Okay, that's all we have to say about Breaking Benjamin. I am off to buy an Aurora vinyl. Goodbye.
Damn.
Well, yeah, I know, right? I should have already had it. I'm a disgrace. I have vinyls for Dark Before Dawn. I have vinyls for Dark Before Dawn and Ember already. Nice. So yeah. So thank you all for watching. If you please follow us on Twitter. That's the next thing. Please follow us on Twitter at FireStorm Pod, where we make dick jokes and occasionally, but not very often, tweet something about one of us being gay, which may or may not be true. In either case, we have no concrete proof.
There's no concrete evidence either side. Yeah, either side. Yes. There's no concrete evidence.
There's no concrete evidence. So interpret that how you will, but please follow us on Twitter anyway. We're at FireStorm Pod once again. You can feel free to tweet at us or send us a DM, slide into our DMs and tell us that we're gay, or tell us to suck your dick and find out if we're gay.
It's gonna have to be from long distance though. Still
long distance, 6 feet away.
6 feet away, dick sucking.
Yes. I'll use a vacuum. And if you would like to send us questions or suggestions, you can do so anywhere with social interaction, but we'd encourage you to do so in the comments down below or via our email. which is firestormproductions2@gmail.com.
We nearly had to change everything because we were nearly cancelled the other day.
Yeah, we nearly got canceled. #canceled.
And it's all my fault, but luckily
it's okay. We got through
returned.
it. We got through it. We got an email after review. YouTube has determined that you have not violated the community guidelines. Thank you very much. Fuck you.
And fuck you.
And fuck you. And that's all. Again, thank you for listening. And now that you've listened to us be idiots for upwards of 100 minutes, go listen to Breaking Benjamin. Goodbye.
I'm breaking the silence. I'm falling apart for you. Sorry, I had to do that once.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that out.
No. Okay.